Right. Well, I think the colors program has been great for the students, especially now that it's been a lot of, there was a lot going on at first, and now that it's simplified and it's very consistent, which I think really caters to our students' strengths. And I think the students have really, it's been very reinforcing to our students because they get an immediate reinforcement, and the consistency of it has been great for them.
I think right now there's so many things to choose from. It's been hard for Mrs. Turk and I to actually sit down and decide which programs each of the children should work on. But what I do like about it is the ability to go in, and as I was telling you before, I did it from home. At my laptop, I made changes depending on what the children had learned, what they'd been exposed to that week, and what I was thinking that was upcoming in my lesson plans. I was able to sort of tweak the programs that they were going to be using. And I liked that.
So now I see them focusing on it for much longer periods of time, which is great. So it allows me to teach something to a whole group, and then I can take a particular student and work with them individually, or one of the other assistants can work with them. And it allows them, it's a great supplement, and it's very, very rewarding for them.
Things that we're working on that after I finished an activity, I can then put a student at the table with their iPad and reinforce the lesson that I just taught. And so that's how it's been the most helpful in my classroom. Well, I think what I'm finding in the classroom, especially now that we have it on the iPad, is that it's good reinforcement for particularly the sight word programs, colors and shapes, things that we're working on that after I finished an activity, I can then put a student at the table with their iPad and reinforce the lesson that I just taught. And so that's how it's been the most helpful in my classroom.
Taking our input and using it to build your program, because it's the only way that it will benefit the kids. As you know, buying programs are good, but it's even better when you can actually work with the people who are developing the programs, when they're open to input, to knowing what we have been doing with students previously that has worked or hasn't worked. And the interesting thing about both the Colors program and I Learn and Earn is that it's a reinforcement program. You hone in on the particular skill that you're teaching in the classroom, and then the reinforcement is automatically done by the Colors program or on the iPad. And I find it can be very useful in any type of setting, because in essence you're teaching the skill, whatever the approach is, we're working on the skill. And the kids thoroughly enjoy the interaction that they have with the programs.
I think in the beginning what interested us in it the most was that it was for our reluctant learners. And those were students who were hard to engage at the table or who didn't respond to a large group or small group instruction. So we found that having one staff member sit with a child, they got undivided attention from us, and they were very engaged by the colors and the animation, and the whole program was very engaging for them.
The game-based model for students on the autism spectrum is exactly what works very, very well for them, because they need to be engaged in the program and learn without really knowing that they're being taught.
I think it's a collaborative effort to make sure that we're not overindulging students with technology. This is where we need to call in the subject matter experts, the teachers, the parents, and even the students themselves to really figure out a way to implement technology in the home and the classroom, but regulate it so that it's routine-based, maybe like a schedule to which they're going to get their iPad for X number of hours in a day instead of just being on it.
They got more used to the routine. They knew they would be on for a certain amount of time. They got very comfortable being on for that time, but with an adult sitting with them. But they were very engaged and very positive. They loved to get on. Got very used to the patterns of the program, and then it had a very nice time. Bye. That worked. I mean, they got that. They love the technology.
I like the reward that you have now on the iPad app, as opposed to some of the things that were on the kiosk, because they tended to run a little too long. And so now what we're finding is there's a short reward, it's engaging, it's just enough to say, wow, I did a good job, and they're ready to move on to the next activity.
If we look into the statistics, we are finding that in every country, this problem is there. In fact, when WebTeam Corporation put certain apps on the mobile, on iTunes and Android, we are finding that the people who are visiting these apps are not only from US alone, globally.
Thank you and goodbye from the I Learn and Earn team.